Welcome back to the Low Sick Podcast. I'm Jason Retz with my co-host Eric Dettman. We are here at the end of November, just past our state meets. Pretty successful state meets. You brought home a couple more state trophies. We had two of our best team times in school history on our side. Just ran lights out. 14 season bests on Detweiler and lots of PRs to go with it. So one of the things we want to talk about today is we want to talk about our postseason racing approach. Now, that leads up to all kinds of things. What we do to set those kids up for success at the end of the year, early in the season, throughout the course of the season, but also specifically what those lead up races look like. So, Eric, I know you do a lot of things to prepare your kids, not only for your state meet, but also for NXR and potentially NXN in preparation. What are a couple of the things that first come to your brain when you think about postseason racing prep?
Yeah. Number one is getting kids to the finish line feeling fresh.
Yeah.
That's a big one. That sometimes I think we overstate, or not overstate, but overlook. But we're willing to leave a little fitness on the table if that means we get to the line feeling healthy and refreshed mentally, emotionally. So that's a big piece. But honestly, for us, as a program that historically doesn't maybe run as much as some others. Getting kids to buy into and believe in, the race plan that we're really trying to execute and dialing that in and talking it through so that well before the race has even started, they already know what they're doing.
Yeah.
And not just we're gonna, execute this one plan, but having a couple different plans. Because I think we all know as coaches that it doesn't work exactly the way that we thought or wanted it to. And really talking through those things as well. And we do that in a variety of ways. Some of it's through some team talk, some of it's through some visualization that my assistant Marie does with us. There's a lot of different things, but I think those are all really, really vital to the postseason success.
Yeah, I agree with you. For example, we run a Detweiler three other times throughout the course of the year. So when we go to the state meet, we want them not necessarily to be a home course, but be so familiar with the place that all they got to do is know that they can execute what they do. The preparation to that mentally makes the state meet another meet per se.
Right.
And I know you travel a little bit as well to see some other courses that you're going to see later in the year. How much do you think that that benefits you come the end of the season?
Yeah, I think it helps. Interestingly enough, we decided to not go to the state meet course this year, even though we had five girls who had never run a state championship who competed on our state championship team. But we felt like we had enough experience and have learned enough over the course of the years that that wasn't as beneficial as us trying to go see the NXR course. And that was the big one for us this year. And to go to the NXR course, and then we host a big invitational Rose City out here to go back to back with those two big, you got to get up meets. I think was really crucial for us to practice that district state meet back to back, that state meet NXR back to back. And Rose City, in a lot of ways, didn't go well for us. But that's why we do that is to help the kids emotionally figure out how are we going to get up in a big, big way back to back like that. And 509 emotionally was big for us. We went toe to toe with Coeur d'Alene, which was cool. Our girls won as well. And, I think that was the first time we put our varsity on the line together. So those were big experiences for us. So yeah, we definitely try to get out and travel and see what those things look like.
Yeah,
Um,
and I think if you are a coach in another state in your state series, it could be 2 weeks long, it could be 3 weeks long. I think preparing for that in a way earlier in the season that your kids can emotionally be ready, right? The physical part, as coaches, we can take care of, but it is really an emotional strain to be able to recover from one, get in a week of training, and then get right back at it for another.
right. Yeah, absolutely. Um, yeah, and I wish I came up with that idea myself, but a coaching friend gave it to me. But we've noticed an uptick in performance at some of those bigger meets. So, looking at, Detweiler, you say you raced there three other times before the state meet. Do the goals change over the course of those four meets? Are you are you trying to key in on one thing, meet one, a different thing, meet two? Is it, we worked on this, meet one, let's improve on it, meet two? Like, because you have the opportunity to run on your state meet course so many times, like, how does that change?
The good thing is like having the sample size we have at Detweiler, it gives the kids the ability to experiment. They
Hmm.
can mess it up really bad one week, or they can get it perfect one week and kind of figure out what works well for them. We joke about Detweiler being difficult, but for those of you who don't know, Detweiler is very flat and it's fairly fast. And so for us, we go two times back-to-back weeks early in, I'm sorry, the end of September. And what that does for us, or the middle of September, is we try to play the weather. So if one of the days is going to be significantly hotter than the other, we know like, hey, that's our opportunity to be a little more conservative early and see what happens with that race plan. And then if the weather is going to be better the next time, all right, let's get after it a little bit. So I think the experimentation, it's almost like it's not necessarily even a confidence builder. It's the kids kind of being in chem class and figuring out what works well for them so they can build confidence. And then the third time that we go is our last regular season meet, which is a month before the state meet, and it gives us the ability to kind of put that race plan together that we may want to mimic at the state meet. And it
Hmm.
works pretty well for the kids moving forward. Um, I can tell you that we are very conscious about the reflections of what we do every single race so that even if they don't have a plan going into that Detweiler performance, they can look back and go, okay, I got out at five flat at the mile. That seemed to work really well, set me up for mile two and into the finish. Or they can say mile 5 minutes was way too quick. I need to pull it back a little bit. So that experimentation has been really beneficial for us and kind of pressure free when we go. We don't go with the expectation to win the meet. We go with the expectation to figure out how we run best on the course.
Hmm.
And that's been really beneficial for us.
Yeah, I love that. And I'm assuming your kids really appreciate that too.
Yeah, because you just get to go let it rip without worrying about anything.
Right.
And so then when they step to the line, the state meet, it's the same way. They know what works well for them when they get there.
So you get to the state meet, fourth time, like, does your messaging change from the first time racing to the state meet?
It's funny that you say that because for the guys this year, very experienced group for us, we huddled up and I literally said, motivational quote, motivational speech. I'm like, you guys know what you're doing. Just go have fun and rip.
Yeah.
And and that was it. That was literally what I said. And they just kind of laughed at me right before I said that. And I walked out of the huddle, tell them to go love them and that kind of thing. And um, they kind of laughed at me and then they did their own thing and they all let it rip. It was
Yeah.
really fun to watch.
Let's go a little personal for a second. Obviously, Lance,
Yeah.
your senior son, last time getting to see him rep St. Joe Ogden, uh, as a high schooler, what was that experience like? What was the last thing you told him, if you're comfortable sharing that?
Yeah.
And it's okay if you get emotional.
No, honestly, it wasn't as emotional as I thought because, we tried really hard to make good people. And so I feel like he has helped with the rest of his teammates build a very positive culture for leadership. And
Hmm.
so we talked about there's no finality. It may be the last time you race, but this isn't finality. You're just continuing to create a new version of yourself and a better version of yourself. And we say that for everyone. And I'll be honest, it was fun watching him execute. He was probably in the last quarter of the race. And those of you who don't know, we finished tied for sixth, seventh place, so 6-7, right in there. Um, but he got out very conservatively, probably last quarter of the group. And we started out in 15th place at the mile. And they just picked people off the entire race and just kept moving up, moving up, moving up. I think my seven guy picked off 40 people in the last mile of the race, just running and not crazy negative splits, right? But just running smart. And so it was so much fun to watch that group move up that it almost took the emotion out of it because it was so dang exciting. It was like, how
Hmm.
far up will they get by the end? So
Yeah.
they were in 10th place through the 2 mile, very far back. And then we ended up beating people we haven't beat all season long. So that was a lot of fun. So emotionally with him, like the energy of the group was the fun part, and it wasn't
Yeah.
nearly as emotional as I imagine. I imagined I was going to be bawling, walking up the hill. That wasn't the case. I was so excited just to go see them and give them high fives and hugs because like they just executed
Yeah,
flawlessly. We
that's
thought that
cool.
if we would have five under 16 minutes, we'd be in the hunt for a trophy. And my number five was 16:04, and we weren't sniffing a trophy. So like we did what we wanted to do. They just it was just a fast day. So it was
Yeah,
fun.
that's cool.
Yeah. No, and you walk away with another state title with a very young group, right? How was that for you knowing their execution throughout the course of the season?
Yeah, it was cool. You know, it's funny. A lot of people asked, how much did you overperform? Or were you expecting that? Or, some variation of those types of questions. And I was like, yeah, we did expect that. And we purposefully set things up over the course of the season to give ourselves a chance to do that. Like he kind of took a page out of Mr. Newton's book. Like when my freshman year, we won a state title. We beat Lyons Township, who had beaten us at every meet that, we beat them at conference and state. They beat us three other times. But I didn't run varsity until conference. I was running freshman races. And a big part of that was because Mr. Newton wanted to kind of protect me, wanted me to gain confidence, wanted me to, feel a success, all these things. So we have a really good freshman class. We have 5 girls, 6 girls, potentially 7 girls that are going to be just absolutely lights out for us. Um, we ran them in like a varsity silver race at an early invitational because I wanted them to get that varsity taste, but in a really safe environment.
Yeah.
And I can't remember if they lost by 1 point or maybe it was 2 points, but they lost this varsity meet is 5 freshmen, 6 freshmen, by 1 or 2 points. And they were like, oh, we could be kind of good. And we slowly started incorporating them. Like one of them, we had a feeling she could be a top 7 girl at the end of the year, but we did not take her to 509 because we felt like that was going to be too stressful of a first big meet, true varsity experience. So we put her at a different meet where she ran varsity, but it was a little bit calmer of an experience. And she was lights out again. And then we knew, like, you're ready. We ran certain kids varsity at this meet. We ran certain kids varsity at that meet because we are trying to figure out like who can respond well to these different scenarios. So there was like a lot of thought that went into it. And then we got to the state meet and, we sat down and had a conversation with the kids and we looked at a couple of the teams that we felt like were favorites or co-favorites or going to be in the hunt, and we looked at similar-ish courses, right? Like everybody wants to run as fast as they can these days, and you got some courses that are road races and some courses that are net downhill and all these things. We're like let's take all of those away. Let's take our like cross country ish course, look at that cross country ish course. How do we stack up? And we felt like we stacked up really well. And I remember having that conversation and looking at, two of our freshmen, one of our sophomores who were talking, and I saw one of them say, like, we're going to win a state title. Like they believed it. And that was cool. And then we just had we had this phrase. We always have a theme as we go into the state meet where we knew that Ellery and Elise were going to do what they do. Ellery's our number one, Elise is number two. They've been rock stars for us for a number of years. We felt Jesuit was probably the favorite or co-favorite with us. We felt like we could probably put 2 in front of their 1. They would put 3 in front of our 3. But if we could try to put 5 in front of their 5, we would have a shot to win. So we told our kids to be the most annoying gnat you can be. And that was our phrase. Right? Like, that Midwest
Yep.
summer, like those bugs just flying, like, what the? And we're like, you just, whoever their 4 is. And we thought we had an idea of who she could be, but they've had a little bit of movement. Whoever that person was, like, you got to be there no matter what. And if we die, like we die, whatever. Like we get third because we try to win, we can live with that.
Yeah.
But there's a cool picture. West Coast XC, which is a photographer out here, is one of their runners, and there's 5 of our girls within like 2 meters of her. And they just like embodied that, and that was cool. So yeah, it was exciting. And it was just cool to see these girls all come together and race well. And there's a fun video. Nellie Doggis, the girl who got second, from North Salem, who's an absolutely incredible runner. Just I love watching her run because she just hammers from the gun. In the background, she's being interviewed. In the background, you see Ellery run to Elise. Elise, Elise, we won again, we won again, and they like jump into each other's arms. It was like such a cool moment.
That's awesome. Yeah, a
Yeah.
little northern Michigan mosquito action.
Yeah, that's what he
Yeah.
said. I was like, either the most annoying gnat or mosquito, but I chose gnat because that's easier to say in a race than mosquito.
But I think that's important in the preparation, right? Like you set them up for that throughout the course of the year to prepare them for that moment, and
Right.
obviously successful doing that.
Yeah.
Um, so let's look at your, and everybody calls it something different. So let's just say your race before state.
Yeah.
Okay. What is your preparation, or do you have a specific plan going into your race before state that maybe differs, or what is the focus of that in preparation,
Mhm.
knowing that you're going to qualify for the state meet?
Yeah, it's every year is a little bit different, just because of the qualification process in Oregon. So the way that works, what most people call a conference meet, for us it's called districts. That's our state qualifier. So we don't have a regional, we don't have a sectional. So it's just the teams in our conference. We've seen them a number of times. In some years, if we're not a favorite to win or qualify, we might approach it differently. But this year, we felt confident we were going to qualify on both sides. Our boys had run really well early. They struggled at Rose City. We got beat by a team in our conference. We'd run a couple different styles. Like at the Mook, we went out stupid fast. We were like 4:30 at the mile. 5:09, we went out reasonably. Our district historically does not. Nobody in the district wants to lead except for Lincoln. So we knew that, and we're like, you know what? Let's let everybody else dictate that, and we're just going to come on like gangbusters. And that was like a big thing that we thought would prep us well for the state meet too, of like the ability and the confidence to close. And that's what happened. We were like, I don't know, I think they were almost 5:30 at the mile. I mean, I've never seen a
Wow.
tactical cross country race.
Yeah.
Like
That's fun though.
Ellery, yeah, like Ellery and Elise were almost as fast at the mile as the boys. And it really didn't get going until like a mile to go. But that was a really good experience for them. And our kids, like the state meet, they closed, and they're good closers. But I think that was cool of like for us, it was just continuing to work on different race styles and different strategies. For the girls, it was a little bit simpler. Like Ellery and Elise were going to take care of business up front. And then, the next five were just competing. Like there wasn't really any specific instruction. We wanted to have a really good district meet. We wanted to feel really confident about it. But it was more for them because they were young. We were trying to keep things a little bit simpler.
Right. And that preparation is important for them knowing potentially what's going to happen at the state meet as they get there. Um,
Right.
and you see a lot of the teams that you're going to compete against at state on a pretty consistent basis.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, because, a lot of Illinois is a bit more spread out, and obviously you have a lot more schools. So if you go to Palatine, like, you might see some of the really good schools, but then you can go to the Naperville North Night Meet and you see some of the other ones. Like, you kind of in Oregon, like Rose City, you see all the best teams. The Mook, you see all the best teams. Like, you get those like state previews pretty consistently through the year.
Yeah, and we're fairly spread out as far as that's concerned as well. Like especially in the smallest classification 1A, I
Yeah,
mean, we're all the way across the state. We see quality teams every meet we go to, but we don't always see the top teams every meet we go to.
right,
And I will say there's some really quality coaches at some of the teams, obviously, that are winning, and friends of mine, and they don't always have rip plan when they show up. They may have a race plan
right.
where they're going to be conservative as well. So we don't always get to see the best version of the best teams of state, but I don't think that matters for us as much as long as we're ready to go.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely.
So you are in preparation for NXR this weekend, and then if everything goes well, hopefully maybe an NXN bid, right? How is that mentally? Because there is an emotional, I mean, you just won two trophies, right? There is an emotional letdown in a way. How do you prepare
Mhm.
for that, or do you prepare for that?
We do. Yeah, some of that is like going back to that like back-to-back meet that we did earlier. Like that's a big component of like how do we manage motion? How do we manage expectation? How do we manage stress? Like all these different things. And we talked a lot about it after 509 and then after Rose City when it didn't go as well as we wanted it to. So I think kids have a better understanding. Like yesterday, the day before was super light, super loose. Like I think kids already felt refreshed. I don't mean this in an arrogant way, but I think we're getting to a point now where we have an expectation to win a trophy at state nearly every year. And that certainly plays a part and makes it a little bit easier. That like it's not
Yeah.
like, oh my gosh, we won another trophy. It's yeah, that's like what we want to do. That was our goal and that was what we expected to do. So I'm not going to say there's not a high because there always is. And
Right.
it's always exciting and it's always a great feeling. But I think our kids, they recover better from it because they've seen the people before them go through that and do that and continue to race well after that.
And let's be honest, almost every single team, and I don't have the data in front of me, right? But every team that's qualifying for NXN is taking home a state trophy in their own
Yeah.
state. You're right, first, second, or third, right? Some are
Yeah.
fourth in some states, right? So managing that is something that the best teams are doing on a consistent basis. And I think you're right. Not necessarily that you expect, but if you're going to be a contender at NXN, that's just one of the things you're going to have to go through.
Right. Yeah. What about you guys? Like, how are you prepping? Like, you obviously, it's a little bit different because you have such a long state series. You've got conference, you've got regionals, you've got sectionals, you've got state. And not that you have to get up for every single one of them. Most of those top teams, some don't even run their top seven at the regional
Right.
meet.
Yeah.
But you're still, back to back to back to back to back. Like, what's that process?
Yeah, and so for us, the regional meet, we were very conservative. We actually, the guys lost the regional, which was okay because seven teams qualify, and so we knew we'd be in the top seven, right? So we qualify there. Then we go to the sectional. They win the sectional with a kind of a subpar day, but like we knew training wise, everything was going okay. We had a lot of B's and B minuses that day, and so knowing that at the state meet they'd be ready. We mile time trialed on Monday, the week of state. And those of you who've listened to this before, we do it. 100% of my males PR'd in the mile or 1600 meters, which is awesome. Uh,
Yeah.
and all but two of our gals PR'd, which was crazy. And we saw a result of that at the state meet. Grace, who was 17th for us in the state, she ran faster than prior to Monday, her PR in the mile through the first mile. Uh,
Mm.
so she got out under 5:30 and finished her off in 17th place. I mean, just got out fast. We had the fastest two girls in the state in our division. So obviously
Yeah.
people are going to chase. So we prepped for that and we were ready to go, and there was a lot of confidence leading up to it. So this week, normally what we do is we try to get a really hard effort, and our fresh off kids will race the fresh off uh, race, but we really try to hone back in at Foot Locker, which is after Thanksgiving for us, or
Yeah.
Brooks Championship or whatever it's called these days. So
Yeah.
for a lot of our kids this week, because we don't have, they're not going to be in contention to qualify. They're just going to go get a really hard effort in and have some fun and race. And they've been back training right away and having fun and bringing in the eighth graders now as they're trained on their own. So there's some new blood and some new energy. Our eighth grader just won state for the boys, so like there's some added energy in there, knowing he'll be able to join the group next year. So.
That's
Uh,
exciting.
yeah, they're ready to go.
Hmm.
It should be fun. They're still bouncy. They're still energetic. They're still enjoying what they're doing. Even though we
Yeah.
had snow on Monday, um, just about 6 inches of snow on Monday. It's going to be 71 degrees on Saturday, so we should be okay.
Gotta love Illinois.
Oh God, I love Illinois.
So, your girl squad is young and
Yeah.
talented. So, walking away from that state meet experience, because sometimes, we have a phrase in the program like wherever you are, be all there, and that, is absolutely something we try to live by. But also, you as a coach, you kind of peek to the future. Like, you finish a state meet, you see how well they run. Like, have you had conversation about next year? Have you tried to key in on like this is what we can do or use that momentum of the state meet of like, hey, if we continue down this path, we can do X, Y, Z. Like, what does that look like?
So they're so young in as far as training is concerned that like we just talk about continuing to build and be better versions of ourselves. We throw data so that they can see and absorb it. I mean, they ran fast enough at the state meet to get a trophy a lot of years, and they're one of our top teams in school history, and actually have beaten school teams that have received trophies. So
Hmm.
they understand what is there, and once again, as long as they're energetic about training, they're just going to continue to follow down that path. I don't. People have already released the 2026 too early rankings, and I don't get into that too much because I think if I can just continue to play off the energy that they are putting out, I think that just gets us going in the right direction, focusing on being a better version of ourselves before track and then do it again during the summer and see what cross country brings. So they ended on such a high note with so many smiles. Like that's what we need. Whatever happens moving forward kind of is what happens. And I don't need to say it for them to kind of understand what's going on. Uh,
Mhm.
my seven was my five, and my
Yeah.
five had a great race.
Yeah.
So I think there's some good things going on.
That's cool.
Just let them smile and have fun along the way.
Yeah. Yeah. That's cool. That's awesome.
So, well, we're getting low on time here. Um, so, if you're a coach listening and you're prepping for your state series, what are two things that you're thinking about you need to make sure you do?
If I'm a coach prepping for the state series, I think number one, I think it actually might be the first thing I said is you got to make sure they're fresh getting to the line. Like if a kid feels mentally, emotionally exhausted, that's a tough experience. Really tough experience. I think number two is like that mental piece is really important. And I think there's so many different ways you can go about it, right? It can be some meditation visualization. It can be having run on that course ahead of time. So, you're mentally prepared. But like your kids have to have, I think, a really thorough understanding and idea of how they're going to run that race or a couple different ways of how they're going to run that race. Or else they're going to get to a state meet experience. You said earlier, like, we're just going and doing the same thing we've done all year. And I wholeheartedly agree with that. But I was talking with a friend who ran a half marathon and, she had trained for however long she had trained. And on the day, it didn't go the way she wanted it to. And I asked why. And she said, I don't really know. Like the week before, like I had maybe my best run I've ever had. And we started talking and kind of the conclusion she came to is like, I put so much emphasis on that race and didn't think about all the other things I'd done. And that for me was a bit of an eye opener. Like we tell the kids the state meet is just another race. It's not,
Right.
right? And that's where that mental piece comes in. It's the same thing in the sense of like it's the fourth time you've run that course. It's the same thing in the sense of we've run big meets, but it's a state meet and it means a little bit more. And as much as we try to downplay it, we can't.
Yeah.
So that mental piece I think is so important to make sure that your kids are ready to go from that standpoint.
Yeah. Framing that all year long so that they're
Right.
ready for that in preparation.
Yeah. How about you? What are your two things?
Yeah, I think the first thing is that not one moment is going to ruin your state series. So
Yeah.
early on, if we go to Detweiler and it doesn't go well, that does not mean that it's going to be the end all for anything. If one of your state series races doesn't go great for a kid, doesn't mean that it's the end all. And I think as a coach, we are responsible for helping kids understand that those moments are so small in time that you can get through it and get past it.
Yeah.
At the sectional race, Grace ran into a tree, right, and finished like a minute and a half slower than normal, just trying to get to the finish line. Turns around the next week and PRs by 30 seconds, right? It's
Yeah.
just a moment in time. So that'd be my number one. My number two is remember that you're not just training them for that state meet, you're training them to be better people. And I think when you are set up in preparation for their journey doesn't end the day of the state meet. And that kind of eliminates some of that pressure that, yes, we are playing the game of cross country and we want to stink and win the game of cross
Mhm.
country, but it's not the end all. Your legs don't just fall off when you cross the finish line at the
Right.
state meet. It's not over. And so I
Right.
think if you can prep kids with those two things in mind, on given what you said as well, I think you're going to set them up for a lot of success late.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah. I agree.
Awesome. Well, good luck this weekend. How's your weather? Are you gonna have rain?
No, I don't. They don't get a lot of rain in Spokane. Last I looked, it looked good, but things change. Yeah, 49 and partly cloudy.
There, that'd be beautiful then.
Yeah, so it'll be. Yeah, I mean, it looks like it's going to be perfect. So we
Yeah,
can live
we're
with that. It's funny. I told the kids yesterday we were prepping, and I was like, "All right, it's going to be a little cold, but 48 and sun isn't that cold, even if you think it is." Like it's just you just get used to that after a while when you're from the Midwest. So
well, and
um,
just take a look at the Midwest region last week and see the snow on
yeah,
the ground.
yeah.
So,
So cool.
all right. Well, good luck. We're looking forward to seeing your results. Hopefully, Hopefully Sipple's team runs really well, and I'll be seeing you out in Portland in a couple weeks.
Yeah, that would be fun. That would be really fun.
All right. As a reminder, if you're looking for new uniforms, especially as year ends here, low stick 10 for first to finish, they'll get you anything you need. I think they're sending me a jacket, so I'm excited about that.
Nice.
All right. Take care, and we'll talk to you next time.